Pirate Nation on X says Square Enix will make more turn-based games and recognize success of Clair Obscur Expedition 33. You love to see it. You love to see it. Square Enix has been struggling so much, and they see that the competition has been eating their lunch, that they've actually gotten to the point where they're saying, wait, we need to actually start making games like Clair Obscur. We need to get back to our old origins of what we used to do. So going over to Insider Gaming, where the article comes from, Square Enix will make more turn-based games and recognizes success of Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Not many saw the outrageous success coming for Clair Obscur Expedition 33. The game had potential, but it's likely exceeded all expectations in 2025. I mean, I can speak to that personally. Like, I didn't really see too much coming out of this game. I was like, I'll check it out, whatever. It got gifted to the channel by Mr. Rouge, and I was like, okay, sure, I'll play it. And my goodness, I have never been more surprised with how much I loved a game when I started playing it than that one ever in my entire life. So much so that Square Enix investors is reportedly pushing for Square Enix to shift gears back to turn-based games using Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest as examples. Final Fantasy hasn't been an overtly turn-based title in some time. You could argue Final Fantasy XII was the final game to embrace any proper turn-based elements. And honestly, I would also argue from my own standpoint, that's kind of when I fell out of love with Final Fantasy, is when they started getting away from the turn-based stuff. I'm like, they really, if they were smart, they were trying to, this is again a Square Enix thing, they were trying to build off the name brand recognition of the Final Fantasy verbiage of the title. But by changing it so wildly from what it was, it may have been better for them to come up with a different series and go forward with that and still keep Final Fantasy somewhat turn-based instead of completely getting away from it. Since then, Square Enix has focused on creating more engaging real-time action. This might not stay this way forever. Could the future Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest games be turn-based? Final Fantasy purists would probably love to return of a purely turn-based Final Fantasy game. And this comes back to the Genki thing. According to a translated post from Genki, one Square Enix investor is pushing for the company to return to its roots. To return to its roots. At the Square Enix shareholders meeting, one investor said they would like the new Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy games to be turn-based and highlighted Expedition 33's success as an example, it's claimed. Now, investors do not play video games typically. Investors pay attention to what's selling, and they want to be that's doing that. We need to do what they're doing, and we need to hurry up and get it out there so that we can build off of the success of someone else and make that money from other people. The problem is with that approach is it can become less organic, less original, whereas I've never played a game like Clair Obscur Expedition 33 where the turn-based combat felt so engaging that it felt like it wasn't really turn-based, even though it was turn-based. It was a perfect, like the free ability to free shot and the ability to work with the teammates and stuff like that and to parry together. It was so unique. And any games that try to do that, I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to, but they will definitely be coming off as Clair Obscur wannabes or things like that. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 has experienced massive success as turn-based RPG. There's plenty of life left in the genre, and Square recognizes this. Square Enix responded that they were aware of Expedition 33 and believe that command-based RPGs are the origin of Square Enix. They value the genre of command-based RPGs and plan to continue delivering such games in the future. So, there you go. Square doesn't appear to be done with turn-based gameplay. it would make sense, as despite critical acclaim for Final Fantasy XVI, the game did not meet sales expectations. And this is the post initially from Genki, who's been, man, Genki's been all over the place. I think they're currently being sued by Nintendo at the same time, too. Square Enix reportedly say they are aware of Expedition 33 and that they value turn-based RPGs. At the Square Enix shareholder meeting, one investor said they would like a new Dragon Quest Final Fantasy game to be turn-based and highlighted Expedition 33's success as an example. Square Enix responded that they are aware of Expedition 33 and believe that combat-based RPGs are the origin of Square Enix. They value the genre of command-based RPGs and plan to continue delivering such games in the future. So there you go. According to Square Enix themselves, they're going to try to get back to what made Square Enix special in the first place, back before it was even Square Enix, when it was Squaresoft and Enix, back when people loved those games. And I would argue, from even a hardcore JRPG perspective as myself, especially back in the day, there was a time when I did kind of get a little bit tired of the monotony of it wasn't necessarily turn-based battles. It was the forced surprise battles when just walking in the overworld and stuff. Like, that gets really annoying. That's what made Chrono Trigger and Secret of Mana so special, is the ability to avoid enemies, walk around them, be more strategic, engage with enemies when you want to, move around them when you don't want to, giving a lot more freedom to the player. And I feel like Square Enix went the direction of, oh, okay, well, if people just want more freedom, let's just give them all the freedom in the world and get rid of this altogether. And it's like, no, that's not what we're asking for. If we wanted that, we'd go to other companies that do that kind of stuff. But we fell in love with your games because that's what we loved. Those are the things that made you special. And you got away from those because you were following the latest trends of what was successful for other companies. And this is why I go back to saying that Square Enix has lost its identity, because now they're being like, oh, I guess Expedition 33 is doing well and popular and people like that. So I guess turn-based is back in vogue now and we can do it again now. Like, well, yeah, it's always been there. Just make a fucking great game and people will want to play it. How hard is that? I mean, apparently, if you fill your company with talentless people, DEI hires, and activists, you're not going to have people that actually understand what gamers want to play. And most importantly, the decision makers up top at the company. And that's the biggest problem that they've been running into lately, especially over the last, at this point, multiple decades. And then you have on top of that, external influences that you could say are pressuring Square Enix proper, especially from the United States would probably be, or at least the East, Montreal as well, and Canada more broadly, consultancy groups and the ESRB or wherever it's coming from, that's telling Square Enix that they need to get rid of the male and female. They need to get to the body type A, body type B. We need pronouns in games. We need this. We need that. It's like, no, we don't. No one's asking for that. These people have no power here. Stop giving them that. Stop listening to them. They are not the people that buy your games. We are. Listen to us. Make what we want to play. In fact, I would almost argue, don't make what we want to play. Make what you guys want to play, because you are the creators. You are the artists. You are the ones that tell us this is something that you probably never thought of, and it's going to blow your mind. That's what we live for, and that's what they got away from. And that right now, I think it summarizes exactly what Square Enix is going through, where they've lost their identity. They don't know who they are, and they're just jumping on the latest trends of games instead of being unique, being original, being special, which is what they used to be. They've fallen back on everything they used to do, to the point of now the only thing people care about out of Square Enix is Final Fantasy VII Remake Chapter 3 or whatever the hell they're going to call it. Like, that's literally, for me, that's all I care about. If they announced a Chrono Trigger remake, that's all I'd care about. They can't be original anymore. They've lost the originality. They have all the money in the world, or at least at one point they did, and they've squandered it all away by chasing trends instead of being original. That's the biggest problem I have with them. And until they actually wake up from that, they're going to continue to keep faltering and failing until their ultimate bankruptcy and demise. And we can go back and point to this video right here and be like, remember that we were talking about what people actually wanted from them and they weren't doing? If they just listened and someone up top actually had some leadership at Square Enix, they could have turned that ship around. And maybe this moment right here, maybe in a weird way, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 not just blows gamers' minds, but changes the direction of the entire JRPG industry on the whole, because the game was that big. Makes you wonder. But anyways, I'll leave that there.